Now we're going to be calculating rate of change from a graph, but I'm going to try to focus this. I apologize. I don't know what button to hit to do that. Whoop. Okay. There you go. Video making live. So we're going to talk about someone's road trip. What are a few things we need to do when we start looking at this? First, I like to ask myself, what did we count by? What is our interval? Pretty soon I'll stop using the words count by and I'll just use the word interval. So to go from 0 to the next row to the next row to the next row, in the x's, we counted by 2's. When I look at the y's, the interval to go from here to here to here, the interval was 200. That's a good thing to notice. I also like to ask myself, what direction is Slope Dude traveling? And we're looking left to right, like when you read a book, left to right, he is headed uphill, so I know it's going to be positive. We have our little slope dude here. Okay, oops. Okay. The next part, we need to figure out how steep is this line? What is the rate of change? What is the slope? Those are just words that mean the same thing. You need to identify 2 good points. A good point is where this diagonal line crosses right at the crosshairs on the graph. I wish I could zoom in. I'm not real sure how to do that. This is a good point right here. If I look at 1200, that's a great point right there. When I look at 1600, notice how it is right in the corner of the grid. And I do see another good point where x is 18 and y is 2000. The other places on the graph, if you look, if I go to where x is 16, right here, I don't know the exact location on the y. It could be about 1900 miles, it could be 1850 miles. That is not a good point. The same could be true at the 10 o'clock or the 10 hours. If I look across, I don't know the exact location, so those are not considered good points. So once we've identified good points, and we technically really only need 2, we're going to do like we did in the last, is we're going to connect them, any 2 you want, with a right triangle. And it doesn't matter if you put the triangle above or below the line. I just picked these 2 and I made the line kind of dark so you could see it. If you wanted to pick these 2 and draw your triangle above the line, that is fine also. Remember when we were talking about this, it is the change in y's over the change in x's. We are talking about how tall is the triangle over how wide is the triangle. When I count, I would not count 1, 2, 3, 4 because we've already talked about each row stands for 200. So this would be 200, 400, 600, 800 tall. And when we count how wide the triangle is, we will count by 2's because we noticed the interval was 2. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. All right. So this person, what we can talk about, from here to here went 1,200 miles to 2,000 miles. That is a distance of 800 miles. And when he was going 800 miles, it took him 6 hours to 18 hours. That's a total of 12 hours. Using your calculator, top divided by bottom, it means he was traveling 66.7 miles per hour. Top divided by bottom forever. Okay, let's look at the next one. Uh-oh, someone's got some money in the bank, but looks like they might be spending the money. I'm sorry if this is blurry. I do not know how to fix that today. So, okay, a few things we're going to do in the beginning is determine the interval. So from here we went 0 to 4 to 8 to 12. So we have an interval of 4. So when we count, we need to count by 4s. On the y, 0 to 100, 200, 300, our interval is 100. We need to think about our friend Slope Dude. He is doing a nice negative because he's going downhill left to right. So my answer needs to be a negative number. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing we did in the last one. We're going to identify some good points. Here would be 1. As I look, these look like they might be, but they're really not perfectly good. I'm traveling down it. Oh, I found another one here. Let's see if we find any more. And I found one here. So this graph really only had 3 good points. You do only need 2. Picking whatever ones you want. I'm going to pick these 2 because I got Slope Dude sitting on my paper up here. You pick whichever ones you want. We're going to look for the change in the y's. What I want to know is really how much money per week. So we need money in the numerator over the number of weeks, because that is how we would say it. We want a unit rate of money per week. Just like up here, we wanted miles per hour. So let's talk about how tall is this triangle. If we want to look, we start our triangle at 100 and it goes to 500. So between 100 and 500, it should be 400. But we could count to check. Intervals of 100, so 100, 200, 300, 400, definitely. $400 was the change between these 2 points. Now I'm going to look at how wide it is. I could go down. They went from 20 weeks to 40 weeks. My mind tells me the difference between 20 and 40 is 20. Or we can simply count. We have an interval of 4. So 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. So we have $400 change in 20 weeks. Bring that back to a unit rate, top divided by bottom, it would be $20 per week. But I'm not going to put a box around my final answer. Is this person's money increasing over time or is it decreasing? And remember what we said earlier, our answer has to be negative. So therefore, I need to include the negative sign. That shows the reader of the graph we're spending $20 per week.